Hey guys, I'm Mono and welcome to another edition of Map Breakdown. This time I'll be talking about Kursk, which is one of the new maps that we got with Update 10. I won't be doing an intro like usual with this one, so let's get right to it. And there are three main points that I want to talk about when talking about Kursk. One of them is that this is a tanker's map, so winning the armor battles is hugely important. So if your team does not have a competent armor squad, and you can manage, you can hold your own in a tank, then you should go tanking if you want to win. Because if you lose the tank battle, it is extremely hard to recover from. If the enemy has a good tanker, that tanker can absolutely dominate the entire map, basically, if he goes unopposed. And the second point is that controlling windmills is hugely important, and that ties into the first point, because we have a Puma right here, and let's look at what that Puma can see. If I get in, I will be able to see the entire Russian HQ. So you can snipe the Russian tanks, the Russian vehicles from this location. Absolutely no problem. There I go, destroyed one of their vehicles. Let's try the other one. And I'm with a Puma, so there's a lot of drop on the gun. Not the best. But if you get a tank into this position, if you get a Tiger here, you will absolutely dominate the battle, because you will be able to basically camp the HQ from half the map away. And there is not a lot that the Russians are going to be able to do about that. Hopefully this is something that gets changed in the future. I wish they added some trees or something to block the view here to defend those that Russian HQ. But as of right now, the Russians are extremely vulnerable to any tank positioning themselves here. If it's a Tiger, the only thing that's going to be able to take it out is an IS. But, that IS is going to get spotted as soon as it spawns. So, yeah, it's not the best for the Russians. Hopefully that's something that gets changed in the future. But apart from this location here on windmills, for the Russians as well, controlling this area is crucial, and getting tanks here is absolutely 100% what you want to do if you want to win the games in Kursk. So controlling this entire area is extremely important. You can see the German spawns kind of from some points here. It is a map that favors the Axis side in that sense, because the Russians need to get way further into the map to see into the German spawns, and it's not as broken as it is for the Germans. So yeah, third point is the trench system. So let's go over to StratSketch right now, and I will show you guys that. Basically, the trench system in this map is crazy. There's a lot of trenches that span basically across the entire map. So you can go from, let's say, eastern position here, even the German HQ, you can go all the way here, never really step out of the trench, and get all the way down to windmills from the entire opposite side of the map. That is absolutely crucial, that you use those trenches if you are playing infantry to get around the map. They offer a lot of cover, and basically they are a free token to get where you want. Obviously those trench fights are going to be quite intense once you get close to the enemy. And these open areas, once you need to leave the trench, you are really exposed around this area, or on Destroyed Battery, this area right here, getting to Yamki through this flank. That is a lot of exposed terrain, but that is something that you want to take a look at on your map to be able to plan your route towards the enemy position. Take a look at the map, see where the trenches are, join each other, or where you have these little steps, these broken parts in the trench where you need to expose yourself. It's gonna be really helpful if you have a lot of smoke to be able to cross those areas and to make the final sprint for the enemy position. Now, the three middle points that you can get in Kursk are Oleg's house, Yamki, and windmills. Whatever point you get in the middle, controlling windmills is still incredibly important, because going from windmills to Yamki, for example, is quite good. It is really easy to do, and there's a lot of cover around this area. So if you control windmills, you can get an attack onto Yamki no problem. And even if you get Oleg's house, you can still launch your attack from windmills, then go over to Yamki, maybe get a Redstone Garrison on Yamki or something, and go over to Oleg's. But controlling windmills is always something that you want to try and do, because whoever controls windmills has the best line of sight in the entire map. So if you're playing infantry, you might think about placing some AT guns around windmills to get, a few shots in. They won't work great against tanks, especially against the heavy tanks, but you can use them as anti-infantry weapons quite effectively. They are actually really good at that. So that is definitely something that you want to try and do. Throughout the rest of the map, both on the Russian side and the German side, the trench warfare kind of dominates the entire thing. So let's go over and let's take a look at Defensive Deep and Listening Post and how to effectively attack those points. As I mentioned, the trenches are crucial, and there will see a lot of fighting between both sides, and it usually gets quite, you get some bottlenecks where it's really hard to push in. What you want to try and do, obviously, is use a lot of smoke, a lot of automatic weapons if you got them. The Russians obviously have the PPSH, but if you're playing as German, go with the MP40, go with the STG, go with, something that has, a lot of fire rate to try and win the trench warfare. Now, one vulnerable side to this trench thing is bombing runs, strafing runs, and just coordinated attacks using those. So if you want to push, and let's say you're here, you're trying to fight the Germans, but you can't really make it past this bend because they are all the way back there, and they keep shooting down here. If you peek, you're gonna get shot. That's where you want a lot of smoke or a good bombing run placed right on the trench line. That is going to be a really good way to get your push. Another great way to do that is obviously trying to flank the enemy. And the trenches actually offer quite a good amount of flanking opportunities. If you look at the map, let's say we want to get into defense in deep. This is going to be the active sector in that question. So that's going to be the sector. This is going to be the cap sector for defense in deep. And let's say as Germans, we're trying to get in. Getting a garrison, for example, here, that's going to be really good. And then from here, we can push all the way here. But then we are going to run into the Germans, and it's going to be really hard to push. So what you want to try and do is try and get different avenues of attack onto the trenches from different sides. You can go all the way here, and that is how you break down the defense and try and spread them out, try and get into the point, because once any of these flanks manages to push through onto defense in deep, they are going to be screwed. And that is pretty much the case for every single point in the entire map. Destroyed battery, same thing. If you're pushing across this side, you probably want to have another push coming in from town, and hopefully another one coming down from this side, because once you need to get out of those trenches onto the actual point itself, it's going to be really, really hard to do if they are defending correctly. If they have good position on destroyed, if they have some defenses built up, if they have some MGs or something, that's going to be extremely hard to push. And again, tanks are absolutely crucial on this. If you have tank support, that's gonna make all of this pretty much a lot easier. But those tanks need to move around the map. They can't just stay on windmills and shoot at stuff from there. Yes, you want to have a couple of tanks doing that, but you also want some other tanks moving in and supporting the infantry in other ways, because it's really easy to just have the tanks basically fighting the tanks on the other side, and that is all they do, and neither of the tanks on either side get to support the infantry very much. So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. There are a lot of good spots for tanks in this map. These hills right here offer great views onto the, not only great views, but also cover from crucial areas like windmills. If you want to control like around here, if you want to position yourself around here, that's also going to be great. Tanks are basically OP in this map. It's like Purple Heart Lane or Foy. where they are absolutely crucial and instrumental for a victory. And lastly, another key aspect that I do want to mention on this map is going to be garrison placement and red zone garrisons. There are going to be a lot of opportunities for you to hide garrisons around these trenches, for example on these locations, where red zone garrisons are going to be faring pretty well in this map, because it's going to be very easy to clear out an area from the enemy team, establish your garrison, and have that garrison be active all the time, because getting close to that garrison, given the amount of open area, is going to be really hard. So if you put it in a key spot like here, or on windmills, or let's say you're attacking destroyed battery, I think that's the name of that flag. Yeah, destroyed battery. If you put a garrison around here somewhere, it's gonna make that attack that much easier to pull off. And the second point I was mentioning on garrison placement also has to do with cover. A lot of garrisons you'll find in trenches, like for example right here, for Yamki and stuff like that, but I do like placing garrisons out in the open in this map. I mentioned this on my How Not to Be Seen video, I think. If you place a garrison here, for example, that's gonna get natural cover from the hills, and you will be able to spawn and get into these houses with no problem, right? So you want to try and do that. And if you take a look at the map on StratSketch, we can see, for example, let's say this is the middle area, and that's the middle sector. You can definitely use some spawns around here or around here. You don't necessarily need to build the garrisons behind cover. Obviously, it's great if you do, but you do want to place some open garrisons, basically some garrisons out in the open field, because they will allow you to keep an attack going that much easier. For example, from here, there are a lot of places that you can get in onto Yamki, onto this middle section, from those red zone garrisons that might be quite in the open. Right here on these trenches, there's not really a good spot for a garrison. You pretty much have to put it outside of the trench system, so not the best. But if we take a look at the map again, topography here is going to be like super important, because if you place your garrison around this area, let me slow that down. For example, if you place it around here, from the windmill they will have some shots in, but it's going to be able to still hold up against enemy. And look at this area right here. This is the border of the map. If you put a garrison around here, for example, somewhere around there, you might be able to pull it off. Not the best locations maybe, but you get what I mean. Basically, geometry of the terrain here is going to be super important. Alright guys, that's going to be it. This is a short video. I don't think it's a very interesting map. I do think it's a fun map to play, but it doesn't have a lot of unique areas. It's pretty much the same all around. The middle part is the most interesting part of the entire map, I'd say, and both the German and Russian sides are very similar, with a slight advantage, or actually a significant advantage for the Germans in terms of their line of sight, especially from the windmills. And once they cross this middle area, it's much easier for the Germans than it is for the Russians. Hopefully they make some tweaks in the future for this map to be able to change that a bit, and make it so you can't actually snipe all the way down to the Russian HQ. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, leave a comment down below on any other videos that you'd like me to do, any other map breakdowns. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.